Hello, 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 everyone. Hello and welcome. Today is Career Tip Tuesday with Kamesia. So I am here to provide you with your weekly career tip. Today we are discussing and we are talking about intentionality in your career search. I think it's very important that you are intentional about your career search, okay? That you aren't just aimlessly applying and aimlessly wandering all over the place as you are looking to begin, improve, or progress in your career. So, I have some tips for you today on how to be intentional in your job search. And my first tip is that you actually prepare a plan, right? You see your career, you see the end result before it is that you actually start on your journey. So basically, you visualize, okay? You visualize where you want to be, where you want to go. And now we're going to plan how you're going to get there. Okay. So before you start job searching, before you hop on Indeed or any of those things, you need to have a clear and concrete plan in place so that you know the direction that you are headed in. So I want you to take some time and I want you to write down your career plan. And how you do that is that you consider all of your experience, right? You include your likes, you include your dislikes, you include the need to haves and the must haves in your next role or employment. You consider the nice to haves, right? And you need to prioritize all of the things that you are looking for in your next job. If you know me, you already know that if there are things that you dislike and you don't want to do, I encourage you to remove those things from your career search. So, jobs with those things in them, I would recommend that you not apply for. Because if you already dislike doing those things, then why would you want to go into doing those things again, right? Because you're not going to be happy. And the whole purpose of being intentional is so that you can actually benefit, so that you can find a job that's a perfect fit for you, right? It's going to be a mutual fit. And it's important that the fit is there for you as well as for the organization. Okay. I want you to create a solid list of career aspirations, but don't compromise on your needs. Don't, if it's something that you truly don't want to do, then don't do it. Don't compromise at all, because that's only going to set you back instead of moving you forward. Okay. And once you get your list together and you have a clear direction on, what it is you want to do, where you want to go, the companies that you want to work for, and those types of things, then you can start the next step. And the next step is not applying for a job. You're not ready yet. You've only created your list and your plan thus far. So the next step is going to be research. Okay. Yes, research. Because we're being intentional, we need to research. And you don't know what you don't know, right? So you may think that your dream job is in industry A, but it could very well be in an industry that you didn't even know existed, or something that's a startup and up and coming. So what I want for you to do is first find out the jobs that are in demand. Okay. Do your research, look at some of the different forecasts that are put out. LinkedIn puts out information, the news stations put out information, Forbes, all these different places put out information on, hot jobs and where jobs will be in 2021 and 2022 based on industry. So I want you to start looking at some of those publications and familiarizing yourself with those things to kind of help lead you and guide you. Okay. So that you know what's expected to come over the next couple of years. Consider things such as automation, because those things are making drastic shifts in the market. So you want to make sure that you have an understanding of what could possibly happen. You don't want to pick a role today that may be something that could possibly be replaced with a machine here soon in the future. So you want to make sure that you know what you are doing as far as your research. You also want to take the list that you just utilized, and you want to use that list to prioritize the needs from your career aspiration list. We're going to call that list you created your career aspiration list. Now, I want you to take that list and start to look for positions that contain the things that you like, that you wanted, that you needed, that will be good for you to have. Look at the benefits, look at the work life balance. If that's something that's important to you, look into that. Look at the ability to do remote work, or will you have to go on site, right? Look at the culture of the organization, and do your research. Look at some of the things like Glassdoor. Glassdoor, there are reviews. And of course, with reviews, you have to be cautious, because oftentimes some of the people that do give reviews are disgruntled employees, right? We don't know why they're necessarily disgruntled, but oftentimes those employees do leave comments, whereas those employees that may be happier may not leave as many comments. So you want to take everything that you see and use your discretion, your discernment, but you want to look at it because you want to know. I do believe that there is truth that lies within each comment. You know, how much of it we may not know, but I believe that there is some truth to, whether it be a negative or a positive comment. So you just want to look at it and see, does this company have more negatives than positive? Right? How are people saying the company pays? And then you do your research and you look out into the market and you see what positions like yours are competitively paying market wise. And is this company in alignment with that? Is this company a leader, meaning that they pay higher towards the high end of market, or are they lagging and they pay, less than what the market is doing, right? Because companies choose their pay scales and they do different things for different reasons. Some companies choose to be leaders, some companies choose to lag, and some choose to stay in the middle. So it's important for you to know going in if this company is going to fit your pay requirements, right? And that's going to be something that you can also use to determine when the question is asked of you, how much is it that you are looking for. You want to be able to give them a realistic range that doesn't price you out because you're asking for too much, and that doesn't make you look like you have no clue of what's going on because you didn't ask for enough. Okay. And then once you're researching these things, you also consider things such as moving. Are you open to relocation? Are you open to movement? Is this a company that has positions where they start you off here, wherever you are, and then every 2 years they move you around to a different position at a different level, but you have to be open to moving? If those are some of the things that the companies do, those are things that you can learn in that research state and phase. So you want to make sure that you are fully and completely researching these companies. You also want to make sure that these companies are in alignment with your ethics and your morals, and that you can actually benefit, right? Do they have any developmental programs? Do they offer growth to their employees? Is that something that's important to you? All of these things are things that you have to keep in mind and you have to be aware of when you are attempting to research the companies. Okay. And hopefully, once you complete this step in the process, you'll be able to clearly articulate why it is that you want to work there. Right. So you shouldn't just want to work at a company because they have a job available. You should be able to clearly state want to work for a company because maybe they're doing some innovative things in the marketplace. Maybe they are leaders in the industry that they're in. Maybe the company is in direct alignment with your career goals, your ethics, and your morals. Maybe they are well known for being a great place to work. And if that's the case, that's something that attracted you. You want to be able to clearly articulate that. So these are all things that you have to be able to speak to when you're asked, because you very well may be asked that once you get to the interview phase. So you see that this research on the front end and this clarity on the front end is going to also prepare you for other stages throughout the hiring process. Okay. So if you follow these steps and you do these things, you will be much further along and much more prepared when it gets to that interview. Um, so the next thing is, now that you have a clear direction and a clear path, now that you have some targeted companies and organizations and some positions that you're truly interested in, that you are in alignment with, now you can apply. Okay. But you make sure that you do your research first. Okay. But one more thing before you apply, you make sure that you look at those job descriptions. You should have been looking at those job descriptions in the research section, but I just want to make sure that I say that, because everything starts with a job description. Because now in the application step, the career search is going to become about the organization and not about you. So it's important to look at that job description to be able to determine what the company needs. What are their pain points? What problems do they need to solve? Because now your resume needs to speak to those pain points, needs to address those issues, and you need to do it with some value adding impact and metrics. Okay, so you now want to make sure that your resume is demonstrating all of those things so that you will be selected for an interview. During the application process, again, you want to make sure you fully read the job description and understand it, because also you want to make sure that you are following the steps that are given in the application process. Sometimes jobs may be posted on one job board or in one place, but the instructions are that you apply elsewhere. And if you don't fully read the job description and you apply there because that's where you see the job, but because you did not read, those were not the instructions, then you have already counted yourself out, or being removed because you didn't follow instructions. So you want to make sure, you don't want to do all of this work on the front end and then go to apply and not follow the directions and get kicked out of consideration for that basic thing. So please make sure that you are fully reading job descriptions and that you are following all of the directions that are within the job description. Sometimes someone may say, email your resumes here. So you want to make sure that you are doing what the job ad says. You should absolutely submit a cover letter. If there is an option or a space for you to do so, do it. Don't worry about people saying that people don't read cover letters or cover letters are dead. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But you might get that one recruiter who loves a cover letter. And because everybody isn't completing a cover letter, this may be something that helps you to stand out. And you want to make sure that you proofread your resume, proofread your cover letters, proofread all of your documentation, and get someone else to look at it too. Get a second set of eyes, because after you start to look at things for so long, then you may start to overlook things, especially when you're writing it, because you know what it's supposed to say. So you may not notice the mistakes that are there. So make sure that you are proofreading and use some free resources like Grammarly, right? Copy and paste your resume into Grammarly just to check your grammar and your spelling so that you know that you're on top of those things. Okay. Um, the next thing is to remember that submitting that application is just the first step in the application process. You know, once it gets through that applicant tracking system and it makes it to the purview or the view of the recruiter or the hiring manager, then that is when your resume must captivate, right? It must captivate their attention. It needs to speak to the needs in that job description. It needs to stand out. You need to have the proper keywords. You need to have the beyond basic keywords, right? We can't do anything basic in our career search anymore. Basic is dead, okay? We are now the elite career seeking professionals, which means that we are using keywords beyond responsible for, right? You're saying things like you spearheaded, you led, you facilitated, you optimized, you did things like that. You're using power keywords to make your resume pop, okay? You are now getting a callback from a recruiter, right, to schedule a phone screen or an actual interview with the hiring manager. And in this next step, you want to make sure um, that you are pulling back the information that you've done. So you can take that research that you previously used to help you prep and prepare for this upcoming interview. Okay. You want to impress the interviewer at this stage. You want them to know that you've done your research. So you want to find out, is there anything in the media that has happened recently that you can reference or that you can ask questions about? Is there any major project or acquisition or merger or something that's happening with this company that is public knowledge that you should be aware of, that you can mention so that you have the ability of standing out, so that they know you went beyond the basic just applying, right? And again, you can use the company's website for research. You can use Glassdoor. You can use their social media preference. Most companies now have multiple social media accounts. So peruse those things to see what information it is that you can use. Maybe they have a new hire within the company that you can speak about, right? So just make sure that you understand what's happening so that you have something that demonstrates that you did research. Okay. Be ready to talk about your experience. Okay. And I want you to be able to talk specifically, like for those high impact value adding bullet points that you have listed on your resume. You need to make sure that you are able to speak to those things. So if somebody asks you about something that you listed, you want to be able to recall that situation, right? And you want to be able to state to them what the problem was, what the action you took was, and what the result was that came from the action, okay? How you helped the company, how you saved the company money, how you helped the company win. What was it that your contribution did, and how that contribution impacted the success of the organization. And, research some common interview questions. Research some common interview questions. There are basic interview questions that are almost always asked. And you want to research those questions so that you're at least prepared to speak to those questions, right? And of course, there may be questions that you hadn't researched, right? Because you don't know what they're going to ask you, but your research and your preparation should have you ready to be able to clearly answer anything that's asked of you, okay? And if you need a moment in the interview, if you're asked a question and if you need a moment to think and gather your thoughts, then say that. Repeat the question back to them so that you can demonstrate that you fully understood what it was that they asked you. And then you can speak to the question. Okay. Practice. If you aren't comfortable with interviews, if you have trouble speaking in front of people. Nowadays, a lot of the interviews are virtual, at least some of the initial ones. So you could be conducting virtual interviews and you could be on camera. So you want to make sure that you're prepared for that, right? So where do your eyes go? Where should they be? How close should you be to the camera? What should you be wearing? All of those things are part of the preparation process. And you want to make sure that you are completely prepared for your interview. You want to make sure that you are having a conversation. The interview is simply that. It's a conversation. Yes, you're being interviewed, but you are also interviewing that company. Okay. So don't feel like you can't ask questions, because you need to ask questions. Asking questions demonstrates your interest. Okay. So you really need to have 3 to 5 questions that you have prepared to ask. Okay. Um, and it'll help you kind of confirm the things that you've researched already by asking your questions. Okay. And you want to make sure that in the interview that you are listening and you are watching and getting everything that you need to get. If in the interview, oftentimes we go through several stages of interview with multiple people. And if you're interviewing and those interview viewers aren't aligning, like the things that they're saying don't match. If you are interviewing and the things that they're saying don't match, you want to be aware of that, because maybe those who are interviewing you aren't in alignment. And that could demonstrate, the culture of the company. But if you have questions, ask your recruiter. If you were unclear about something, ask the person that you're meeting with. You need to ask questions for clarity so that you ensure that you are truly finding fit possible for you. Okay. So that is Career Tip Tuesday. Those are the career tips that I have for you today. I am Kamesia Clark, aka the Career Promoter. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop your questions in the comment section. And if you would like to work with me, you can feel free to do that. My links are all in my bio. If you have questions later on, just drop them in the comments and I will follow up with you. It's been a pleasure, and I hope that you have an amazing Tuesday. Goodbye.